Hello, beautiful people of the world. I wanted to show you what I've been working on lately. Specifically, the books I've been writing. Would you like to listen? Because I'd really like if you would listen. I mean, you clicked on this video. You might as well get cozy, snuggle up in a blanket, maybe have your favorite hot drink while I serenade you and talk about the things that I've been working on. Things that I've been working on for years and years. Doesn't that sound fun? Okay, I'm glad you agree. Get comfortable. This is The Astronomer's Saga, Book 1. I don't know how many books I'm going to write in this series, but these are pretty small in comparison to other fantasy books, and I did that on purpose, because I really like the feeling of being able to properly, finish a book, do that thing where you close it for the final time, and that satisfaction is something that I wanted to give to people. I really like the satisfaction of finishing a book, and I know you do too, so I thought I would make a bunch of small books so that you could keep getting that beautiful instant gratification. Please allow me to read you the back of the book, which looks kind of like this. Well, exactly like this. And this is what the spine looks like. And that's what the cover looks like. The horizon line of the ocean, the god rays of the sun going up and going down and casting shadows across the sands. And I don't know if you can see it, but right about there's a tiny little picture of a crab that I drew. I drew this, by the way, on a program called Krita, which is a free drawing program. I designed this whole cover, front to back, to spine, to crack. All me. So let me read the back. Book 1. 2 lesbian wizards embark on a quest to find the secrets of the stars. The astronomer and the spellslinger journey to reach the abandoned observatory, a place once ruled by the wizard Eichnar O'Crossing. And then there's a little picture of a twisted dragon. It continues saying, "The astronomer's fate is to be a magnet for magic. She cannot help but to find the strange. Yet, with the spellslinger at her side, she shall be safe." Pretty cool, huh? You can buy a copy of this on my website, which of course is tiernandowie.com. You can get the hardcover version, or you can get a paperback version. And you can get these 2 other books as well. Book 2 of the Astronomer's Saga. We'll talk about her in a second. And my debut novel, The Player. We'll talk about her in another second. Okay. I made sure that this number, this says number 1, so like when you're looking at it on the shelf, you can see what it is. I made sure that it aligned when I was designing the covers like that, so that eventually when I write all of them, and then they become one big long line of numbers. And this one's a little fucked up because it's a misprint, because it was like an early draft, but nobody has to know. If you go on the website and buy this one, you'll get the proper version that doesn't have the little misprint. It's just a secret. You're not supposed to see this. I started writing this book a really long time ago, and when I started thinking about writing a book about an astronomer and a partner of theirs, I was initially going to write a book about think the Google Doc was titled Archibald and the Lover. So it's going to be like a story about old people, like an old man named Archibald and some witchy lady who I don't remember the name of. I feel as though those characters have molded and become something else over time. Like, in the player, there's a character called the Witch. Her name is Azalea. Oh gosh, what's her last name? Let's look. Azalea something. In the back of all of my books, I have a glossary of all of the character names and all of the character titles. And it just so happens that I happen to have it right here. Let's see. What is the witch's full name? She appears in chapter 3 of this book, which is called Beaten Body Blues. Here's what the character index looks like. So her name is Azalea Elm. Azalea Elm. She, her. The Witch. Partner to Gwendolyn Arsenholt. Azalea is a master in the art of tattoo. Though, after being asked to give terrible magic to a child, she fled to find herself some sanity. She intends to spend the rest of her days holding the hand of the paint-stained professor, which is Gwendolyn Arsenholt, a character you will meet if you read this book. I also just love those characters, so I intend to bring them back for their own book, a book about two elderly ladies who are deeply in love, and, let them go on their own adventures, which I won't spoil too much. All of these books are set in Tales of Zepish, which is the name of the series, and Zepish is the name of the continent upon which the story takes place. All of these stories, in which all of them interconnect, and there are characters who cross over from one to the other, and isn't it just so much fun? I kind of fell in love with the whole idea of characters crossing over whenever I was playing Dungeons & Dragons, running games of Dungeons & Dragons, running games for Dungeons & Dragons for about a decade. And by the way, I didn't get to start as a player, I had to start as a DM, so put some respect on my name. But I was always running games in the same fantasy world, which meant that I was able to have the people I was playing with cross over into other games. Like, one character was named Dada the Unbreakable or something, and he was a tortoise person, a turtle, and he had two big old shields that he would hold up in front of himself, and he was a cleric to the god of nature. But anywho, he popped over into a different game whenever it called for it. Like, he would go on adventures with a different character named Dulis, who is Dulis Firehoof. Dulis Firehoof, of course, is a paladin to the god of fire, and then he goes on to have his own story and become something completely brand new. But that's neither here nor there. All this to say, I really like the idea of crossover, of one character who has their whole own story, as of course all characters have their whole own story, but the ink upon the pages is what determines who we follow. Everyone believes they are the main character. I, of course, am the main character, for I am the one who has experiencing what I am experiencing, and you are the one who is experiencing what you are experiencing. So doesn't it just make sense that we are, of course, the main characters in our own lives? This video is going to be a bit of a ramble. So, like I said, get cozy, and let me just serenade you with different words about fantasy worlds. Now, I call these cowboy stories because, of course, there are cowboys within them. There's a great big desert to cross, horses to ride, hats to wear, and guns to go bang, or boom, or pew, or what have you. Guns also make this noise. The first page of these books says, Introducing Zepish. Let me read it. Zepish is a land similar to the old American West, yet around every corner there is magic. A world where 2 moons shine in the night sky, where cowgirls wield golden ray guns, where strange yet friendly metal birds may be found, where alligator men live in the deep, dark lands beneath the sands. This is a story about queer characters of color, about 2 women both wielding magic, but for very different reasons. So that's the intro page. I got inspired to write a little intro page because I was reading one of the Discworld novels by Terry Pratchett, and at the very beginning of that, it had a little introducing Discworld, and it kind of gave you the lowdown on what's going down on this series of books. And I was extremely inspired by that. I thought it was wonderful that he was able to write so many books all set in the same world, and so that's what I want to do. But by golly, does it take a long time to write a book. Writing all these took me close to a decade. That's 10 years of my life. And I'm very grateful that I got the time to do such a thing. I would really love it if you would spend a little bit of your time going on this journey with me. Step into my mind palace, won't you? At turnandtawi.com, won't you? People have been calling me a wizard for longer than I know what to do with, so I just decided to really step into those shoes as firmly as I can and enjoy it. Because it's fun being a wizard, why not? The Astronomer's Saga. I hope to write maybe 5 to 7 total books. I've written 2. The third one I'm currently still working on. It's had its first draft, and I've let it sit on the shelf for quite some time, gathering dust. And just this morning, I dove back in, and I was very pleased with what I found. So, that's a good sign. That idea of letting your work sit before going back through and editing it is very important, by the way. I have talked about that in my Writing Rambles series, but I think it's doubly important to repeat here. Writing and creating beautiful works of art of any kind, it takes time. And you need to respect the process, and you need to allow it to go as it will. Otherwise, you could break it. And that's no fun. The Astronomer Book 2. I'll read you the back. It's relatively the same, but with a few twists and turns. Book 2. 2 lesbian wizards continue their quest to find the secrets of the stars. Journeying through the rosewood forest, speaking to the beasts who call it home, aiming to reach the abandoned observatory, a place once ruled by Eichnar O'Crossing. The astronomer is a magnet for magic. She cannot help but attract the strange. Yet, with the spellslinger by her side, she is safe. this book has, and the first book as well, has a lot of magic in terms of all types of things, but magic where the character gets to talk to animals. Isn't that cool? The spell that she casts in order to do that is called Twango's Tongue of the Wilds. She does a little ritual. She drinks a special potion that she creates, and it buzzes around inside of her mouth like fizzy water, and it changes the biology of her tongue and allows her to talk to animals. Pretty fantastical, huh? It's one of my favorite spells, and she casts it in every single book that she appears in because it's just so much fun. Because I personally love learning what animals have to say. So in the first book, she talks to some horses. She talks to... I think that might be it for the first book. In the second book, she talks to... well... okay, I'll tell you. A sloth, and she talks to another sloth, and she talks to some fireflies, and she talks to... there are some other animals, but I think those are the main ones. Mainly sloths in the second one. In the third one, we'll see what I leave in, but she talks to quite a lot more animals. Big ones. But that's all you get. You gotta go read it yourself. But I can't help it. I'll share another secret. The other thing is, in all of the books, not just the Astronomer Saga, not just the Player, not just the Endless Doors of Orantor, which is another book I'm working on in the series, there's a character who appears in every book, but you might not recognize them. But if you go to the back, right, the back index, the character list, you will find that there is a character named Castillo. Now, Castillo uses any and all pronouns, but the reason that you won't be able to see them is that they are an illusionist. They are very good at disguising themselves. They are capable of changing their appearance by throwing some dust into the air, casting a spell, saying the right words, and whoosh, they look like your grandma. Poof! And I just love that. So in the first book, The Player, they appear as... here it is. Castillo. Any and all pronouns. Appearing in this book under the illusioned disguise of Carlos Flood, the Gentle One. They rode into town atop a gator. This is but one face that they wear. You have seen them before, and you will again. So, that's a secret that you can look for in every book. Castillo. And in the second book, they appear as a town, or the first book of the Astronomer Saga, this one, second one I wrote. They appear as somebody named Clem the Cook, who makes a little bit of mischief. Because that's what they do. And then in The Endless Doors of Orantor, which of course is the next book I want to write. Kind of in the process of starting to write it. Castillo is a main character. So we get to follow them for basically the whole book. Half of it, really. The other one's going to be a character named Drum, who is a dwarven woman who appears very briefly in a cameo in The Player. So isn't it just so much fun how interconnected they are? And of course, it is complicated, but you don't need to know all this stuff, all these behind-the-scenes secrets in order to enjoy the book. These are just little things that, if you are so inclined to find them, there are secrets hidden between the pages. Because I am nothing if not a generous creative person. And I like to give to all you little people of the world. I'm joking. also not joking. I do love to give, but I'm just trying to be nice because I'm nice and I like being nice. Don't you like being nice? Writing is really hard work. Writing books by yourself, closing all the blinds, closing all the curtains, turning on one single little lamp light, and plucking away at your computer, or writing everything down by hand in a journal. It takes a lot of time. And I have poured an unbelievable amount of hours, and, to be honest, far too much money into the process of self-publishing these books. You would not believe how much money an ISBN costs. Do you even know what an ISBN is? Because I didn't until I had to. I'll tell you. An ISBN is, I don't remember what it stands for. I'll put it on screen. I think it's like International Selling Book Number or something. There it is. But an ISBN is this number at the start of your book. Well, on top of the barcode of your book, and it identifies it within the catalog of every book that exists in the world. And you have to buy those. And I bought a lot of them because, I don't know if you know this, but for every single edition of your book, paperback, hardcover, audiobook, I think also, sometimes an ebook, you have to have a separate ISBN. So that means for one book, if I want to do paperback and hardcover and audiobook and ebook, I have to have maybe 3 to 4 ISBNs. I bought 100 ISBNs, and I believe, if I remember correctly, that was maybe $400, maybe $500, something in that range. It was a few years ago. All this to say, I am very passionate about the work that I do, and I want it to succeed and to grow and to lift me up like the tides of the ocean and allow me to sail across this bloody life. And if you would be so kind as to help that dream come true, and to visit turnandtowie.com, and maybe buy a book or two, and give me like $2 in my pocket at the end of the day, because I don't make that much money, but I would really appreciate it if somehow I did. It would be very helpful. Another thing that's super cool is maps. Now, I have maps in this book, all the books. All the books start with a big spread of a map that I drew. See? And it's super pretty and super nice, but it's only a small slice of the full package. I kind of draw a whole continental-sized map, and then I zoom in on the section that I need to showcase for this story, so you can see all the places that the characters visit along the way of this particular novel. And like with the Astronomer Saga, because it's multiple books, you get a little bit of this section of the map, and then we kind of push upwards, and then we get to explore a little more of this part of the map, and then more and more and more and more and more, because those girls are on a journey. They're going to find the secrets of the stars. And damn right they are. So, maps. Another cool thing that I haven't mentioned up to this point, if you're still this far into the video, then bravo, you're getting the real deep juice. You're getting the secrets as they live and breathe. Here's the truth. A few people in the world know this truth, but only a few. And now, you can count yourself among them numbers. Ready? Tales of Zepish takes place more or less in the same world that I started playing Dungeons and Dragons in, that I started running D&D games in. Which is super cool for many of my players because they are very familiar with this setting. And I have some special plans for some characters that have reached such high levels that maybe we're able to extend their life through magic. Because while it's set in the same world as the D&D world, I kind of, toned down the magic level so it made a little more sense and felt a little more grounded. Because when there's too much craziness going on in a D&D world, it kind of can deflate some of the punch. So let's think about Tales of Zephyr as like a alternate timeline version of what could have happened. But I still take the same big beats for what happened in the D&D worlds. So the cool kind of plans that I have for the future, possibly mixing that in somehow, it's just mainly exciting for the people who I've played D&D with, such as the great Lucas Wilson. And I think that it would be fun to include such characters as Murin, the druid, who reached 17th level, which of course you max out at 20th level when you're playing D&D. He, as a druid of such high levels, and we're still kind of playing with that character, so he'll probably grow even longer, but once you reach a certain level in D&D as a druid, you kind of stop aging more or less. It really slows down. So, since Tales of Zephyr is set in a far-flung future, there's just so much to explain. And I don't want to give too much away, I want to keep some of my secrets close to my chest. But I do want to give you a little bit since you are here and you did stick around to the end of the video, and I really appreciate that. So I suppose what I'll tell you is that my D&D world and Tales of Zephyr do exist in sort of the same world. Zephyr is a continent upon which many of the D&D adventures barely touched on. There were a few, but more or less it took place on a different continent. And it also, there's a big divide in time between these two sessions. So when you're talking about the books, that's more or less in the future of the D&D world. And the D&D world then, of course, is in the past. So sometimes there will be references to the days of King Zexriel's table. Right, sort of like the King Arthur of that. But King Zexriel, of course, was a player character who was a fighter who became a king. Isn't that cool? Little references to the years and years of D&D that I poured in, and paying homage to those people who spent so much time playing D&D with me and stuff. For one, I think it will be cool for them to see little snippets of cameos from their characters, and also it's cool for me, and hopefully it's cool for you. Thank you for watching. Please do visit tiernantowie.com. I would really appreciate it if you look at the website that I bought and maybe consider supporting me by buying my books and watching more of my YouTube videos and seeing how things are going. And definitely take a peek at Baddies in the Backseat, which is an interviewed show where I sit down with my friends, discuss their daily lives, and find the magic within the mundane. But before I go, one last treat. Ready? Just look at these windows. I am obsessed. Absolutely starstruck. They are... Would you hate me if I told you it's not real stained glass? Because it's not real stained glass. It is some of those stick-on stained glass window film, which does take a minute to install, but once you do, it really lights up the room. It casts beautiful rainbow shadows everywhere. I couldn't be happier. Thanks again for watching. I hope you got a few, ASMR tingles from this. And if you didn't, then I guess I'll just have to try harder next time. I hope you learned a few secrets, and I hope you enjoyed just kind of chilling with me for a minute, because I had fun chilling with you. I'll see you next time. Mwah. Bye-bye.